Hi folks, Jan here and welcome. In this section we're going to start actually making our game. We've installed Godot, we've got the right version, we're ready to go. So what kind of game are we making and why? In this section we're going to be making a word game. Now at first glance this might not seem like a big deal, but bear with me because we feel that this is essential to get into your grasp as soon as possible. I know that getting something into your grasp isn't an expression, but let's pretend it is. In order to make really good games and understand an engine, it's critical that you understand key concepts early, right? So we're going to really focus on GD script, and at the end of the section, Ben will focus on C# and make a game that doesn't focus on things like graphics and level design and collision and movement and all the other things, right? Let's just make a game focusing on how the engine works. So how are we going to do that? The game we're going to be making is called Loony, and it's based on the game Mad Libs. We're not calling our game Mad Libs because that is a copywritten name and I'm not violating intellectual property. But it's going to be based on similar ideas. If you're not familiar with Mad Libs, it works like this. There's a party and two of us are playing at any given time. One of us has a story. It is written here and you can't read it. So here is my story. And on my story, I have blanks that you have to fill in. You're not allowed to see the story. I'm going to ask you to fill them in. So I'll say things like, can I have a name? Can I have a feeling? Can I have a place? And we'll write them in, and then I'll read the story that you've just written. Our game is going to do that. So before we go any further, think about that and ask yourself, how do I want the player to feel? If you've followed the board game course, you'll know that I'm a big fan of the concept of the essential experience. To me, that's the most important thing in a game, right? How does the player feel and what do I do to make that happen? So that's my task. I would like you to think, if we're going to have a word game based on Mad Libs called Loony Libs, what's the essential experience I want to have? Now, there isn't a wrong answer here, except I didn't think about it. So pause the video, come up with how you'd like the players to feel, and when you come back, I'll share mine. All right, time to dig out the trusty whiteboard. So I'm calling it Loony Lips because I think it's a fun name. I thought about Tall Tales for a while, but Loony Lips is a better name. And I'm going for a very simple experience. I'm going for a goofy party game, right? I want players to feel like this is silly and frivolous and anything could happen and it's fun. In fact, I'm going to give Loony Lips a little unofficial logo. You don't have to copy my logo. Here's someone sticking their tongue out, looking slightly grumpier than I meant, but that's the feeling I'm going for, right? I want a goofy party game. Something where a bunch of people are going to get together and just make each other laugh. That's what I'm going for. I'd love to hear your ideas if you came up with something different. Maybe you're coming up with something a bit more sinister or something a bit more gritty. That's great. I'd love to hear them. Now let's look at the requirements for the game. What do we need to make happen for this game to work? Well, our game requirements are based on the fact that this is a word game. So the first thing we need to do is get words from the player, and these words have to have a prompt. So I have to ask you for a noun or a verb, or if you prefer, someone's name, a thing, a place, an action, right? I need to ask you for something and take that input. I then need to have a story that I can plug those words into. I want this to be an expandable game. I want these stories to be easy to add to. So you might start with 2 or 3 and then write more and more, and the game should just be able to just take those and expand without you having to do anything more. So that's what we're going to be making. At the end of it, you're going to have something that looks a bit like this, and I'm really excited to see how your game turns out, what kind of stories you come up with, and to show you how much fun this engine can be. So, without further ado, let's get started in the next video.